Goa has witnessed one of the most brutal genocides in the history of mankind, the Inquisition of Goa. While the world knows about the Spanish Inquisition, hardly anything is known about the Goan Inquisition. After 451 long years of tyrannical rule by the barbaric Portuguese, they were overthrown and Goa was liberated on December 19, 1961, which is now honored as Goa Liberation Day. The Goa Inquisition is regarded by all contemporary portrayals as the most violent inquisition ever executed by the Portuguese Catholic Church. It was marked by an unparalleled barbarism, inhumanism, and fanaticism, the most horrifying and bloodiest inquisition faced by Goan Hindus who suffered for 252 years. Those Hindus who refused to convert to Christianity or those found guilty of secretly practicing Hindu Dharma despite converting were punished in the cruelest manner possible. It is heartbreaking that this inquisition has no place in Indian history books, nor is it openly discussed. Most Indians believe that Goa was settled by Portuguese. This is what the history books have taught them. But the facts are quite different. Goa, which was Gomantak, was a bustling place, settled by Indians continuously from at least 1200 BC. It was a famous pilgrimage, often known as Kashi of the West. Till the Portuguese missionaries came, they launched an aggressive program of converting native Hindus and Muslims to Christianity. Hundreds of Hindu temples were destroyed, and churches planted on destroyed temple sites. Brahmins were chased out. Many converted as a result of this. The new converts were ordered to give up their heathen practices. However, when friendly methods failed to keep the newly converted within the flock, Inquisition was called in. The Goan Inquisition has often been called the worst in the history of Christianity. Its most virulent phase lasted for about 250 years, from 1560 to 1812. Imposed a ban on the performance of all Hindu rites and ceremonies, including marriages. No rituals could be performed on 12th day after a person's death or on new moon or full moon days. The poor could not be fed, nor ceremonial meals distributed for the peace of the souls of the dead. There could be no fasting on Ekadashi days. All the Hindu temples should be destroyed forthwith. Hindu men could not wear dhotis even in their own homes, and women could not wear cholis. They ordered all the coconut trees and tulsi plants to be uprooted from all gardens. Prohibition of the use of Indian musical instruments and Indian songs during marriage ceremonies. All Sanskrit and Marathi books, whatever may be their subject matter, were seized and burned. An order was issued that eliminated the Konkani language, and for dealing toughly with anyone who still spoke the local language, it was compulsory to speak Portuguese only. No Hindu, regardless of his status or condition, should hold any public office. All orphans could be baptized as Christians, which led to the kidnapping of numerous orphans and the establishment of many Christian orphanages. All Christian officials were forbidden from utilizing the service of any Brahmin or Hindus. If contravened, the official would lose his job and the Brahmin will become captive and lose all property. All jobs must be given to Christians and not to Hindus. This was to make the Hindus completely helpless and more or less slaves. Brahmins should be thrown out of the island of Goa and the lands and fortresses of the King of Portugal. All Hindu physicians, carpenters, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers were asked to sell their property and leave the Portuguese territory. All Hindus were obliged to assemble periodically in churches to be lectured by the priest about the inferiority of their religion. The Goa Inquisition is regarded as the most violent ever executed by the Portuguese Catholic Church. It was basically a holocaust inflicted on Indian people. The Inquisition consisted of a tribunal headed by a judge sent from Portugal, along with two assistants or henchmen. The judge was answerable to no one but Lisbon and handed down judgments in whatever he saw fit. The Inquisition was conducted in a palace called the Big House. This had been the residence of the Portuguese governors of Goa until 1554. This had been refitted to accommodate zoo cells for prisoners and instruments of torture to inflict all kinds of pains on the heathens and pagans, basically Hindus, and force the true and merciful religion of Christianity on those who resisted it. All interrogations were conducted behind closed doors, but the screams of agony of the men, women, and children could be heard from the streets, even in the middle of the night, as they would be brutally flogged, beaten, buried, or even slowly dismembered in front of their relatives. Prisoners were brought in after witnesses had reported on them of crimes they had purportedly committed, oftentimes with the witness implicating innocent people while under the threat of torture or to save their own lives. These so-called crimes were often some kind of blasphemy against Christianity, or empathy, idolatry, necromancy, and witchcraft, or anything against Christianity. For these crimes, they would be often burnt alive at the stake, but only after much torture. If they confessed to the crimes, they were shown Christian mercy by being killed, first by strangulation and then being burned after death. The Indian ladies who opposed or resisted the sexual advances of the assistants of the commission were put behind bars and then forcibly used by them to satisfy their carnal desires. Then they were burnt alive as opponents or heretics of established tenets of the Catholic Church. In 1538, General Ignatius de Loyola in Rome, upon the request of Portugal, sent missionaries to the Orient. To answer the call, Francis Xavier went to Goa on 6 May 1542. Francis Xavier landed in Goa with the resolve of uprooting paganism from the soil of India and planting Christianity in its place. And so all plans of persecution and oppression of the Hindus came along with him. All religious policies and procedures of forcible and fraudulent conversions and demolitions of the Hindu temples and idols were undertaken under his guidance and missionary zeal. Thus, it was Francis Xavier who laid the foundation of the compassionate or barbarous for an organized system of holy inquisition against the Hindus in Goa. Nonetheless, they could not see the demise of Sanatan Dharma. Presently, there may be few references in modern or school history books about the violent and treacherous ways that the Catholics used in their attempt to destroy and trip over the Vedic tradition of India. And though the silence is maintained by secular historians, the history of it still exists for us all to remember and to honor the lives of all those men, women, and children who, under the threat of torture and death, refused to give up their culture. This chapter of Indian history should not be forgotten in order to make sure that it never happens again. And so, we do not forget the value of the Vedic traditions and Dharmic culture. Nobody knows exactly how many citizens were killed or tortured by the Portuguese in the name of Christ, but it would be likely to run into hundreds of thousands. This is the true history of Goa, and the silence is not because there exists no evidence. There exists, in full text, orders issued by a succession of Portuguese viceroys and the governors from time to time. The brutal history and facts of the Inquisition of Goa should be taught in schools and colleges. The state government should set up a Goa Inquisition Holocaust Museum, which must include the horrific instruments of torture as well as all the correspondence in which Francis Xavier details the various methods he used to convert Goans to Christianity. Across Goa, there are numerous relics like the Hath Katro Kham. The relics should be preserved and treated with utmost respect. Like the video, share this video as much as you can, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Hare Krishna.